3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1.
It's John and Dude and Aris. I think we finally figured it out. We got volume. My honey texts me. There we go. It's coming through on the phone and everything. Everybody got it? Everybody
Good.
Yes. All right. Thank y'all for joining us on tonight. Community, family, friends, loved ones. It is a fantastic and blessing time to be here one more time.
Yes.
Right here at the messy desk. Right here with Dude.
Home.
Dude.
Home, yeah.
At home. Kennedy asked me earlier why we somebody, what's wrong with the church? I was like, nothing is wrong with the church. We just thought it'd be cooler.
Yes.
If we do it here.
Right.
So, but it's all good to go. This is episode 3 of a new thing we're doing. Going to call it a podcast, Godcast, conversation. The word in conversation is what we call it.
Yes.
We are your beautiful host. You know, we look so good. Beautiful host, Aris and Dude.
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
So before we get started, while we get started on tonight, just the first thing I want to think about, just to get things rolling. I sent you something earlier. I sent you the whole list, like kind of things we're going to talk about when we went back and forth. But I want to start off because it came to my mind on last week. Like soon as, like the very next day, I guess it was Wednesday. Like I was like, dude. Well, I sent you a message to ask you, like, to think about at this point, what's the best thing that happened in your week, right? So from like Tuesday to today, I ain't know if you can think about anything, but I thought about that because I thought it was cool, the kind of week that we had last week. And so you can think of something while I'm talking. If you think of something cool, if not, then cool. Right? I put you on the spot, right? Did I put that in the text message?
Yeah, you did.
Okay,
I forgot all about it because everything else.
Okay. And so I wanted to make sure that I sent that in the message. Anyway, so I wouldn't like throw you completely off. This is just random thoughts that keep popping in my head. But anyway, so I was thinking about like what the best thing that happened in my week. And I was already going to go into that because I wanted to look into something different. I wanted to look into, start thinking deeper into life. We're always looking for the day-to-day things. The mundane happen over and over and over and over again. We look for all these things over and over again.
Right.
But I started thinking about what it would be. What does my days look like? What does my week look like? Are we paying attention to the small things in our day? So anyway, so that next day on Wednesday, we started talking about different games that families play. Mm-hmm. And as we were talking about these different games, we were talking about like board games, like Taboo. We play Taboo, right? Of course, and it was actually like, do we play Monopoly, like board games, and like that? And I was like, no, we usually like they're older now, right? We don't play board games. I said, well, we still jump on like the Uno, mm-hmm. And I was like Connect 4, and so when we started talking about Connect 4, they were like, man, I was like, yeah, because if I pull out the Connect 4, like it just goes. Right? Like as soon as I pull out the Connect 4, everybody want to play Connect 4. It's like a challenge in the house, right? Hey, my gal. Okay, so real quick, I'm talking about this. Come here, my gal. Come here. So gal just walked in the house. Y'all don't know, that's number 4. That's Katie. She walked making her way around here. On Sunday was her birthday. Wanna wave, say hello? Yay. Happy birthday to Gal. She wanted to be in the picture. She wanted to be in here last week for her birthday. It was perfect time. She walked in today. She just got back from cheerleading, gymnastics, something like that. Cheerleading. I'm so sorry. Okay. Cool. She got back from cheerleading. Okay. She wanted to be a part of this. She wanted to say hello. Okay. You said hello to everybody? Cool. All right. See you later. All right. So, but I thought about it, and it was her birthday on last week. Mm-hmm. And while it was her birthday on last week, we was getting ready, all these different things. She turned 10 years old, and so we're getting ready for that and everything in that aspect. If you should have seen the house, it was crazy.
I came. Well, no, I came at the original setup.
Did you? Were you here?
Saturday. Remember I stopped by?
Oh, I ain't sitting there?
Yeah.
Fish
dinners, yeah.
Fish dinners, that's right. I wasn't here. That's why I was like, you wasn't here. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So you saw the tents and everything.
Right.
So anyway, so we got set up. We started setting up for the week and everything. John saw how crazy it was. You saw how crazy it was in the house. But as we were leading up to that next Wednesday, as we were talking about like Connect 4 and everything like that, we started talking about board games and all that type of stuff. And so somebody was like, they play chess with their son. They want to introduce their sons to chess. And so while they were talking about that, I was like, ooh. Out of all my children, I'm like, AJ would love the game of chess. I'm talking about this at work, right? And like AJ would love the game of chess, and so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask AJ when I get home. Does he want to play chess? He want to learn how to play chess. Mm-hmm. So I get home and he popped in my brain as I'm walking in. AJ's on the couch and he's like sitting across the couch with his iPad and he's kind of playing around and stuff like that. And so as I'm walking by, I remember it and I'm like, AJ, would you like to learn the game of chess? And he stopped everything he was doing and he looked up. He was like, ooh, yeah, yeah, let's learn the game of chess. I was like, I knew you would want to play the chess. And he was like, and he said something like, it was so cool because he's so cool, but he's not trying to be cool. Uh-huh. He was like, yeah, the game of chess, I can do the game of chess. He's like, because the long game is the only game. I was like,
really?
You gonna be that? You gonna be that cool? I'm just talking about chess here, and you give me the
talking about beating the world.
Yeah. The long game is the only game. That was so funny. But anyway, so that was like one of the best parts of my week. Also, me and Katie do this thing. So the big ones allow me to be cool. So if they continue to talk to me and have conversation with me, it allows me to know that I'm cool. But with the little two, what they do, they show me a lot of love. So I had like the week with the little two was amazing. It was all like heartfelt and everything. So me and Katie started this thing years ago where we dance. She stands on my feet. And we're doing this for like 3 years now, something like that, 3-4 years now. And so she stands on my feet and we dance. And not only do we dance, at the end of the dance, I dip her, right? Mm-hmm. So I dip her, she throw a leg up and everything like that. And we dip, and it's fantastic. And so we hadn't done it in a while because we've been busy. And so she jumped on and she jumped up. I was in the room. I was about to get changed, go work out or something like that. And she was like, Dad, we have a dance. Let's dance. I was like, cool. I stopped everything I was doing and we started dancing. She stepped on my feet. Live, stepped on feet and everything like that. We danced and then she gets a lot bigger now, so my toes are now in a little bit more pain than they were before. And so then I dipped her, and then as we dipped and I lifted back up, she gave me a hug and she was like, "You're a good dad." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "That's awesome." So that was my week, and so I thought about that. I said I want everybody to kind of focus on things in that nature. Like kind of look at those small things. It kind of helps you out, throughout your week, and so. I didn't know if you had nothing. I just wanted to throw that out there. So if you thought about anything good,
I had something. It just hit me. I told Treese about it yesterday. A guy at work. I don't even know his name. He's new.
Nice.
But I was out there. It's dark outside. It's early in the morning.
Yeah.
I've been popping the hood, do what we call a pre-trip.
Right.
And he was like, he said, "Man, I was wondering who truck that was." He said, "Man." He said, "You keep armor all and stuff in your truck." I wonder who truck it was because it's always clean. I'll try to take care of it,
I'm trying to do my thing.
And the thing about it was dirty, but he said it was clean.
Yeah.
And after we got through the whole conversation and everything, I felt good.
Yeah, right.
I felt good.
Right.
Take care of my stuff. I felt good. Yeah.
I'm glad you did because we are like that truck is looking atrocious. Like we got the truck looking so bad. That's not even what we're talking about on tonight, which is even nuts. We're not even talking about anything right. But John truck do like dude truck do be nice. Like it be nice. And so it's always clean and everything. John takes time and all that type of stuff. Trish and I, we have got to do better. But what we're gonna actually talk about on tonight is something that I'm gonna try to keep this. calm. We're gonna talk about prayer next week, and we have a special guest on next week, which I'm so excited about. Right?
Cool. Yeah.
Special guest. Woo, woo! We got special guests on next week to finish out the month of September and this podcast for the month. But we got special guests on next week. We'll talk about prayer. We're going to that. I know we said we'll talk about it this week, but we're going to talk about the special guest on next week, which is we'll talk about prayer with the special guest next week. So
yeah.
Looking forward to that one. So I'm hype about that. Super excited about that one. What was I saying? Oh, and so I'm going to try to, because as I was looking at this, I'm going to try to make this still a conversation.
Yeah.
And try not to preach this thing.
Because it's very hard.
Oh my gosh!
It's very hard.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! So this like filling my spirit on Wednesday. There's another thing that made the week. That made me think about it also, because it's filling in my spirit on Wednesday, and then as the week went on, God just began to download. So tonight on the Word of Conversation on episode 3, we're going to talk about dirty or cluttered. Dirty or cluttered, and that's a question mark. Mm-hmm. And are we dirty or are we cluttered? I was listening to something and somebody had brought that up kind of about just in the comparison to their room, to their bedroom. And they were saying about how how they can't even function when the room is cluttered. Right? Like when stuff is all over the place.
Yeah.
It was chuckling is because I heard Lathan just Is a cluttered room a regular? And Lathan said he's the opposite. So if it's cluttered, Lathan's like, and that's Trisha too. Like if it's cluttered and sometimes like she can, and Kennedy, they know how to function, they know how to find things.
Yeah.
And so I thought about that and that comparison to the room, because we will say the room is dirty. Right? Growing up as kids, like, go clean your room because your room is dirty.
Mm-hmm.
But as you look at it, it's more so, it's not that the room is dirty, but it's just cluttered. Things are not organized and things are not in the place where they're supposed to be.
Right.
And because things are not organized and where they're supposed to be, like you're fumbling, tripping over everything, the regular person, not Lathan, not my wife, not Kennedy, but like the average individual, you're tripping over all these things, And I started thinking about, and what the Spirit began to download into me was how do we see ourselves when it comes to sin, when it comes to our lives, when it comes to our relationship with God. Are we seeing ourselves as dirty, or are we seeing ourselves as cluttered? And I believe that's a big difference in between that. I believe it's a difference, because when we look through the veil of dirty, we try to clean ourselves. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if something we try to take that, we try to put in the extra work. Like if it's something that's dirty, like we put in that extra work of like putting the elbow grease into. We put all the strain upon ourselves when something is dirty.
Gotcha.
We put in the extra back work, and we do all the emphasis. We grab in the extra soap. We're not talking, we're not bringing anybody in. This is all about. I was cleaning out the freezer the other day, and like it's not dirty. It was cluttered.
Right?
Yeah, and I didn't invite nobody else out there. Right? Just leave me alone, and I cleaned out the deep freezer. But anyway, I'm saying like, if we see ourselves dirty, especially in the spiritual sense, that only thing that we're seeing is sin in everything that we do. So when we fall short, we'll see dirt. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And we won't see someone who is a child of God. We won't see ourselves in the veil that Jesus has already died and He's already shed His blood, and we are forgiven, and that we are made new with open hearts and open minds, open souls, open spirits, that we can come to God, we can come into Jesus and have our life changed. But I think so many people are looking at the veil, looking at ourselves through the veil of dirt. And when we see sin, we see dirt. Right? We see what's the name of we're coming to the holiday season, so we're gonna start seeing Charlie Brown. What's the kid on Charlie Brown that's Pigpen. Right, we see ourselves as Pigpen, walking around all day long with a cloud of dust following us, right? That's how we see ourselves. But I believe if we can shift our minds to the understanding that we're cluttered, that there are a lot of things in our faces, a lot of things that are that come across our minds, and there are a lot of things that we put before God.
Right.
Not like we give to God, but we literally put them like there's this, then there's God.
Right.
Like when we look at circumstances and situations, we look at how can I solve it, then I'll go to God. Or we'll go through panic, then we'll go to God. Right? We'll go through those stages. And so as I was looking at that, I was like, there's a difference between being dirty and being cluttered. So the scripture that I want to start off with, you got anything to say before I read the scripture?
No,
because I'm about to like go off on
right.
Go ahead. And I haven't been able to talk to nobody about this because we've been running around. I haven't been able to talk to Trisha about it. I was coming home yesterday to get it off. You know, you want to get the sting off. You want to just get all that off, but I couldn't. So we're gonna start off with Psalms 51 because it's something I want us to look at as we talk about dirty and cluttered. Start at Psalms 51, 5 through 7. My honey just came to the door. Hey, my love.
What up?
So Psalms 51, 5 through 7. It reads from the New King James Version, said, "Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me. Behold, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you will make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow." So I want to we're talking about dirty and cluttered. I want to start off with I think that when we read that, people have already, they'll read that first part. We'll read the first part of that verse and the last part of that verse. Mm-hmm. We'll quote the first part of that verse and quote the last of that. And we'll quote 5 and then we'll quote 7. And with that, behold, I was brought forth in iniquity. Basically, I was born into sin. And we say it all the time, that we're born into sin. Right? And as we're born into sin, we see ourselves through the eyes of sin. Mm-hmm. Not as healed, not through victory, but as sin. Not as John, not as Aries, not as an individual. We see ourselves as sinners. Right. It's like I was born into sin. But of course, that going down, David begins to say, purge me and then wash me. Right. That was the goal. To get to the point of being cleansed and being washed. Because he realized he couldn't do it himself. Right. He can't do it by himself. And so, but he acknowledged the place that he's in. He acknowledged the life that he was born into.
And see, to your point, some people get stuck there.
Yes.
They get stuck there and they don't even go past that part.
No.
And they feel like if they're not at 7, they skip all over 6, but they feel like they're not at 7. Right. That they just not there.
That's so good.
So
yeah.
That surely I was, and in NIV it's like surely I was sinful at birth. Right. And like, we was born this way. So, and some people even get the excuse like, God understands because this how he made it.
Right.
And then he give you the choice whether you want to be saved or whether you want to continue to live in sin. Right. So some people like, well, he gave me a choice, so I think I'm hang out here for a little while. Right. Yeah, some people get that in their mind.
Right, and I love that because we've been using the vocabulary lately. The verbiage in society is like I identify as, and so right, and so I was looking at that, and what do you identify as? Do you identify as verse 5, or do you identify as someone in verse 7 that wants to be cleansed? That wants to be clean. That wants to be purged by God. And like you said, it's so like people get to that place and get stuck there and think that they have to be here. Exactly. Right? They're stuck in dirt and not realizing there's a difference in it. That our lives are cluttered. There's a lot of things that come in each and every day that takes over our minds. I drive to work each and every morning. I say my prayers each and every morning. I promise you, it's a 35, 40-minute drive in the morning. And it takes me 35 to 40 minutes to say that prayer. Exactly. Because while I'm driving, like somebody's cutting me off. Right, my mind's going somewhere like somebody cuts me off. And then I start thinking about what I have to take care of once I get to the office. I'm thinking about what I have to do when I get off of work, things that are planned later on in the week. Right. I begin to pray for somebody's name got to come up. I start thinking about what they're going through. And so a lot of all it, like we're cluttered, our minds are cluttered. A lot of things come into play whenever we're just functioning each and every day. And so what happens is a lot of different emotions come and cloud our minds, when I say emotions, like I'm talking like that fear, that doubt, all that begins to set in. And then, like you pointed out, those things that people like, this lifestyle is what it is. Yeah. My lifestyle is what it is. That it can't change. This is what my mom did it. This is what my dad did it. This is the way I do it. This way.
And then the thing, and even when everybody gets fed up at some point, but some people, even when they get fed up, it's this thing about, I'm going to try to do something different, but then the things start to get cluttered. And when you think about something getting cluttered, just picture the fact that you're trying to make your way around, but stuff keep piling up in front of you. Right. You're getting pushed farther and farther back. And like you say, your mind keep going 100 miles or nothing. You think about things, what this need to do. You think about bill, person, loved one. And it comes back to my mind. You remember Mother Simpson used to always say, Lord, keep me in my right mind. She always say that. Right. And I mean, you hear her say that, and you just think, she's a mother, older lady.
It's just a saying.
She's just a saying. But that really hits home now. Keep me in my right mind.
Yeah. You got to keep, like, that is a huge thing, because if we don't stay in our right minds, if we don't keep that focus, how how did the song go? Mine stayed on Jesus.
Yeah.
How'd it go? I woke up this morning with my mind.
And then everybody
stayed on
Jesus.
And I was wondering, like, and you started clapping. Now, that's so good. I was thinking about that. I was like, some old song is probably gonna pop in my mind. But yeah, and so that stayed on Jesus, because I'm with John. Like, the older we get and the deeper we get in our relationship with Jesus, I get to that point. I know we all do. We get to that point to where like songs hit different, and they sound different, and then they begin to say things differently. Because when I was a kid, it was just a song to start service. You know what I mean, right? It was just, somebody give us a song, and that was the song that would start off. Everybody had a song that they would start off, and that was just one of the songs. But as I start looking at it, we're talking about dirty and being cluttered, but our minds have to be stayed upon God, stayed upon His Word, stayed upon His love, and everything that He's about, right? Because if we don't, He no longer becomes God to us,
right? But
just another entity in life. And so everything else, we begin to create idols in these other places, not realizing that we create idols. So we'll read the Bible and be like, I'm not building the bronze statue. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. But if our focus is first on, regardless of where we are in our life, if our focus is on panic first, if our focus is on doubt and fear, if we go through that place and dwell in that place, we've now created an idol out of that fear.
Right.
Not only with just our emotions, but if we come to a scenario, somebody was saying that we make money an idol. And I don't mean and we all talk about, about money, but to the point to where we go through seasons of like ups and downs. I mean, Trish and I go through seasons like that. Like, we'll get promotions, and it seems like we'll get promotions and more money that's coming to the account, but less money seems to go into that account.
Yeah.
Right, right, and so then we'll pay off stuff and be like, okay, we should be loaded up. It's less money, and so I was saying that those are moments when God is trying to get us to stop focusing on what's in front of us.
Right,
like, don't focus on the money. Take your focus back to me.
That's it.
And so we'll clutter and create that idol, and some people will feel bad. I'm trying to work myself out of feeling bad anytime I get to that place. Because, we go to a point and we say, okay, I haven't been praying, or I haven't been fasting, whatever the case may be, right? I came to this scenario and I totally freaked out. I did try to do everything on my own, and then I went to God. And I realized I needed to go to God. And I had to tell myself, stop feeling so bad about it. And God, it's like God was saying, you're not dirty. Stop trying to weigh yourself down. You're putting so much stuff in the room. You're putting so much stuff in the way. And if you come to me, I can help you organize and get all these things out of the way.
But what he appreciates is the fact that you realize what was going on, and then you come back.
Right.
Thank God.
That's good.
I apologize. I put this before you. Let me put you back at the forefront.
Right.
And yes, I did this, that, and so, but I need to put you first. And I do need help with all this I'm dealing with.
Humility.
And when you do that, I mean, of course, the Spirit gives you a conscience. And the fact is that you listen.
Right.
That's the main part.
Right.
When you get in trouble when you don't listen, you keep on trying to do it your own way.
That's the big deal.
Yeah.
That's something that I think that's part of the clutter part, because we're hard headed sometimes, and we continue to just do things over and over and over and over again. And God's like, I'm trying to tell you, like, you don't have to be there. You don't got to go through that. You ain't got to struggle with that.
Definition of insanity.
Right. Like Pastor May, like Daddy say, like, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result. Yeah, that's not
the same thing.
Right. And so I was looking at the scriptures. Like I said, I'm trying not to preach this thing, but I do want to break it down a little bit what God revealed even more. So we talked about David was talking about how we was, I was born into sin, born into iniquity, right? And Genesis 3:16-19, I began to look at that. God took me there, and it reads. It said, to the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Then to Adam he said, because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground, cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life, both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you. And you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweet of your face, in the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. So I want to break that down real quick. So track me, as my wife says. Track me as I go through this. So as I was looking at this, we talking about born into sin. So as we break down the level of sin. So you said I was born into sin. So Adam and Eve have eaten from the tree. God is now speaking to them because they are forbidden. They've gone against the will of God and the desires and the will of God. Mm-hmm. So because they've done this, God is now speaking to Eve and letting her know that you will be, that now you will go through greatly, you will multiply your sorrows through conception. So now you will have children, and everything that goes through the process of having children, you will feel that pain. You will feel that. And Adam, everything that you're going to do in life, you're going to have to work until death. Mm-hmm. In order for you to survive, you're going to have to work each and every day in order to survive each and every day. When before, God was like, I was providing for you. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to do anything. I provided everything to you. Right. You didn't have to do any work because I'm God. That's my job. I created you. Mm-hmm. So therefore, this is how life was supposed to be. So when I was looking at what God began to break that down, I was talking about, behold, I was born into iniquity. I was born into sin. Mm-hmm. I was looking at that, and so Eve, what God was revealing is that Eve now has jumped into the place of God. And so God, she ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So now she knows. Mm-hmm. She knows about creation. And so God is the creator. And his purpose, his design, his ability is to create. Mm-hmm. So he gave that gift to Eve. And because he gave that gift to Eve, now what she didn't know before, now she realizes that she's a creator. Mm-hmm. Okay? Okay? So right, tracking. I promise I'm gonna break this down. So he has placed now the creation into Eve. Mm-hmm. And now she goes through the sorrow because now she has to go through the process of creating. She has everything in her body to create child. And she goes through that process. He said, I'm going to give you this, but you're going to go through sorrow in order to have this child. You have to go through your menstrual cycle. You have to go through these ups and these downs. And then when you go through child labor, it's going to be painful because you're going to bring forth life into this world. That's what you're going to do. And so, Adam, because you have done what you have to do, because you eaten and you heated from the woman, so cursed is the ground that you're going to have to work each and every day. You're going to have to put forth an effort to grow things, right, to create things. And so what happened in that moment, as we were looking at that, still talking about dirty and being cluttered, is that David was talking about how he was born into iniquity. Each and every day we identify as being born into sin. We came into the world of sin. Mm-hmm. And so the whole act of a man and a woman and intercourse and having the sexual relations and having children is the format, or it is the drawing, the canvas of just sin itself. Because that's not how we were designed to work in the first place. Right? That's how we want purpose. I want to put it in that form. We want purpose in that fashion. So I broke that down real quick. We're going to move on. I broke that down real quick because now that Eve is a creator, and I want to point this out to all of us, and it's across the globe, and it was like to the trans community, to the LGBTQ plus, to those who are poor, those who are rich, those who are believers and those who are non-believers, those who are trying to do so many different things in life. Even in the Word, if you break it down like that, just to understand who God is and how God has made us and where we have fallen, and realizing that God has loved us, God has sent His Son, and that we might have life, we might have more abundantly. But realizing that what God has placed in us, and so what He placed inside of Eve, she was designed because what when the Bible says when He created us in what? In His image. Right. In His image. Right. He created us in His image. So we have the design of God. Mm-hmm. So if you look at the word design, it's like if you create, if you're about to build a building, people make a design of the building first. We're in the process of building the church, building a sanctuary right now. So please help us with the envelope drive as I digress real quick, right?
Yeah.
But as we're going through that process, that's what a design is. Is it the building? No. Is it, can you actually physically walk into the design?
Nope.
No. Right? So we have the design. And so in that moment in time, God gave Eve the ability to create life because God created life. But He said at the end of that reading that from the dirt I created you. From dust I created you. And from dust you go back.
You return, right.
So God said, I created you from dust, but you're going to create life in the way that now you have to function and create life. So I want to point out to all those different communities and different people that you might be designed to do something, but that doesn't mean that you're purposed to do it. Eve is designed to bring children into the earth. The woman is designed to bring children into the earth.
Yep.
You have the ability, you have the organs and everything to bring and create life. But in order to fulfill it, you have to go through pain. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people are going through things right now and trying to hold on to different things. They're dirty and they're looking at how they're cluttered and they're trying to stay within this particular place in this point in time. And you'll be like, I can do this. You can, but that's not what you're purposed to do.
Yep.
You might be designed, you might have the ability. Mm-hmm. I have hands. I am designed to be able to pick up a crayon and pick up some paint and paint something. It won't be good. I'm not purposed. That's not my thing. Right? That's not my thing at all.
Right.
I'm not purposed to do that. And so we get stuck with the clutterness, with the dirtiness, because we get stuck in different places. And God, I believe God, and we made idols of like different professions nowadays. Because everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. I'm talking so much. I know you got to say something.
No. I'm letting you know what you think.
But we got so many people that want to be entrepreneurs now, just because of social media, right? Everybody wants to start their own business. Everybody wants to, be investors, and everybody wants to do this, the quick money. Let's make this work for yourself, work from home, all this type of stuff. Everybody's not an entrepreneur. You might be designed, you have the ability, but that's not your purpose.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing in your spiritual life with God. Like people that we talked about before, people like wanted to be at one point were like rushing to be like pastors and all these titles and different things into the church. I say this phrase all the time, and I told myself, I had a call on my life to speak the word of God, but may Pastor Manuel live forever. Hear me? Forever.
Yes.
And so it's so many different things that we just throw out there, and we make different positions, we make different things, we make them the goal and we make them the purpose. Mm-hmm. And I believe they get in the way of God speaking to us.
They do.
Get in the way of us from hearing from God. What does God really want to do? Because we're walking in design and not walking in purpose.
Right, and see that's why it's important. You hear the word when it says man ought to always pray.
Yes.
Remember the whole thing is about conversation with God.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking to God, Lord, let your will be done.
Right.
I want to do this,
mm-hmm.
but at the same time, I need your will to be done because you see that I cannot see.
Right.
You know more than I can ever know.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I want to do. If it's not for me, then God don't let it be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we got to get back to is asking God what His will is.
Right. And that's so important to get to that point of asking, and not only asking, but finding out, decluttering the space. Mm-hmm. And that takes time, that takes an effort, decluttering the space, so that whenever we ask, can we identify when God is speaking? Can we identify what's actually God and what's actually our desire?
Right. And see, believe it or not, clutter has a lot to do with busy.
Yeah.
So when you can't hear God speaking, a lot of times it's because you're busy.
Yeah.
And when he speaks, he tends to tell you things to take out, to unclutter.
Yeah.
When you take stuff out, you move some of that clutter. But when you got to hear him speak, when he say, let this go, get rid of that, that's a part of getting, like we talked about last week, those friends that you don't need no more.
Right.
That's part of that clutter that you're getting out.
Right.
And so this is that, it all boils back down to that conversation. You got to have a conversation with it.
Yeah, because it's with the clutter, with the taking out, I'm glad you said that, because I don't want to get the misconception that giving their life to God, that everything got to go. But what's funny is that it gets replaced.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Is that everything gets replaced. Because if you look at different, like, the way people are organizing, like the garages and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Like, you get rid of some of the stuff, but then you put it, like, instead of having all these different, boxes and totes and this all scattered all over your garage, people are now buying like those organized shelves. Yep. Right? And so now we have a focus point and a place to put certain things. Right. And so when we get to that point to where we can acknowledge and say, you know what, I want to hear from God. I want to hear from and I actually want to know that it's Him. It's going to be some things that we give up, but it's for a purpose. Mm-hmm. It's a reason why we're going to give it up.
That's right.
There's a reason why we're going to let it be. We're going to let things die, and it's a reason why we're going to move forward in a lot of things that we do. I like the verse you had sent, and I was like, dude, what other verses did you have? And one of the ones I was looking at was that New King James Version, Romans 8:28, very familiar passage, right? Mm-hmm. Romans 8:28. It said, and we know that all things work together for the good of those who love God. Right. To those who are called according to His purpose. Mm-hmm. Again, like we were talking earlier, we're talking about purpose. Right. Not design. Purpose. Finding out what purpose is leads to all things work for the good.
Exactly.
To finding out what His purpose is for us. Not what our purpose, not what our design, what our will is for ourselves. What does God want us to do? And I don't want to take it as a deep level to where we'll take it too deep. But it's not that God is controlling. It's not like when you read this and God is like controlling like where you drive and how what you eat and we're not breaking it down like that. But there are points in time where you're like, God, I'm trying to figure out, do I go left or do I go right? I'm trying to figure out what's going to be pleasing to you, right? And what's going to lead to my purpose, and not just something that I'm good at.
And see, he will show you those things. I mean, those things He will show you, but I mean, it's not, just like you say, not getting into that to where, I'm not going to leave the house until God tell me to leave the house. That type of thing, you got to do it, Yeah. That's no. Yeah. You going something totally different with that one.
Yeah. And I think, like I say, it's just those things to identify those things to say, and all things will work together. And so it doesn't give us specific in this verse, some all things will work together. Mm-hmm. Like, if you find out your purpose, everything that is going on in your life, once we find out that purpose, everything starts to declutter, everything starts to get organized, everything begins to fall into place. Right. Right. Everything starts to have an understanding. We get a foundation, we get our footing. Now we understand that I am designed to give birth, as I give reference back to Eve. And then I am designed to work hard. But I want to work myself out of that place. I want to work myself into, yes, I'm designed that God, you'll put me on here and I have to do these things, but can I do more? Can I find more? Can I do more? Can my spirit take more? Can I have a better understanding? Is there a different level of peace? Is there a different level of understanding? So where's the purpose for me? Where's that goal? Where's that direction? Another one that you sent, I did 6 and 7. It said, therefore humble yourselves. This is 1 Peter 5, 6 and 7. It said, therefore humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God.
Yeah.
Everything that we do, humble yourself. You talked about that earlier, about that humility. It's so good because even we reference it to, I can reference it to just even marriage. You
Definitely marriage, yeah.
Doc, right? When it comes to marriage, you're not humble. Like, you have to humble yourself when it comes to marriage. Like, because I want to be the man of the house. Like, I bother Trisha all the time, and I bothered her the other day. She was working from home on Monday. Yesterday, she was working from home, and I called her because I knew she was at home. Was able to talk. I talked to her for a little bit, but then I was like, just in the middle of it, like right when I was about to get off the phone, I was like, "Did you put that chicken in the oven? When I get home, I want that chicken in the oven." Right. And so she was like, "See, we were having a good conversation, and you ruined it." Right? Because you want to be, and it's just not just. It's not just the man, right? It's in a relationship, but it's that thing it's that design again, right? Like when you design, we're designed by God, so we're designed to. We have rule, we have dominion. Right? We have that authority in us already. We have that in us. So whenever we speak, whether wife, whether husband, like when we speak, like we want something done or we want to be heard. But when that humility is like we have to humble ourselves before God, so we have to humble ourselves before other people also. Right. And that's part of decluttering things in our life. Learning to be humble. How do we learn to be humble to God? We have to be humble to those who are around us. That's good. And so it's so many times to where Trisha was wrong in an argument, but I humbled myself and said she was right. You know what I mean? I got it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
That's why I say marriage. Yeah, I'd be like, I told Trisha one time, I don't know what we were talking about. I said, girl, God told me just be quiet. Don't say nothing to you. I'm listening to him. Yeah. And this, nowadays women have to say she's like, yeah, you better listen to him. Ooh,
right. They don't make it no easy.
Like, help me, Jesus. You know what I mean? So
I'm with you.
But God tell you, I mean, you gotta humble, and it's something when you humble how God ease peace in there, just how you sit back and you can laugh at it and joke about it. Right. And then it'd be like, all right, girl, you pushing it. You going too far. Right. Yeah, it's just stuff like that. And then you turn around, you laugh about it. Right. But if you hadn't humbled yourself, that would turn into something totally different.
Right. And people will clutter up their room and junkie up their mind, their hearts, and all type of stuff. And here, therefore humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God. And people they want to submit and all that type of stuff. But the next part, it said that He may exalt you in due time. So in due time, you humble yourself now. In due time?
In due time.
That's what we need to look at. In due time.
And the thing about it, look at it as a way of, can't nobody do me like Jesus? Yeah. Remember those songs? Can't nobody. Yeah. Can't nobody do you. If He say humble yourself and in due time, nobody can give you a better reward than He can.
Right.
So that's the whole goal.
Yeah, and we're talking about relationships. Circling back to the relationship part, it's because my relationship got better when I learned humility in a relationship. Relationship got better because it's not that you're falling down. You're recognizing what you have. Right. You're recognizing the potential. You're recognizing the strength. You recognize the strength that it takes. You know how strong you gotta be to get humble? Woo. To be humble? Yeah. Like that takes, we talking about people feel like it's weakness. That is strength.
It is a lot of strength.
And God's like, if you can humble yourself, you're getting stronger.
Yeah. Have you ever humbled yourself and you wasn't looking for it, but you humble yourself and then you watch God move?
Yeah.
You seen him, you like, man, look at that.
Yeah, I'm glad. You start talking to yourself like I'm glad. You almost talking to yourself crazy like I'm glad I humbled myself. I'm glad I calmed down in this scenario. I said it about a position. I was in a position that I'm in right now, the department that I'm in right now, because I was ready to leave. I told Trisha I had a plan and everything. I was gonna do. I was gonna go. I was gonna leave and go to California. I had a plan. I was gonna be gone. I was gonna get us straight. I was gonna get us all situated. We were gonna be good to go. Everything was gonna be perfect. I had and all that type of stuff. And then this was 5 years ago. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna put my family in a position of just pure success. I'm gonna be out of here. And God spoke to me in a dream. And the only thing I heard in the dream was the word stay. I was like, I heard stay. And I was like, I'm not. I'm like, that's just because I was thinking about it going to bed. So I got to work the next day, and as I got to work and I got there, because I applied for the position that I'm in right now and I didn't get it. Like I got totally messed up out of the position. Nobody else wanted the position. Nobody else was as good as I was. Not to my own home, but I was like, I'm good at it. I'm good at it. And so no one else wanted it, and so they were like, but they told me I didn't have enough time with the company in a particular position to be able to transfer. And so while I was off for the holiday, like because I was the only one that applied for the position, the only person. And so they were like, we can't give you the job because you wasn't in the position, you hadn't been in the position long enough, to transfer over. And I was like, and they were like, well, they're gonna bring it back up next year, which was gonna be like in 2 months. They were like, in 2 months you'll have enough time. It's like, that ain't gonna make a difference. 2 months ain't gonna make a difference. But anyway, so I went on vacation. But while I was on vacation, somebody got upset with their supervisor and they put the position back up and he applied for it. And he got the position. So when I came back and I found out about it, I was like, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go do something else. I'm out of here. I'm gonna do my thing. And so at that point in time, here it is. Now I'm cluttered. God's trying to speak to me. And now everything in my mind is cluttered. Yeah. Like you realize that how much stuff we throw in our minds, right? And then we throw once it's in our minds, we clutter up our minds. We clutter our minds up so much till it has no more space. So where do we push it then? Then we push it to our mouth. And so now it comes to our mouth, and now we're complaining about everything. We're irritated, we're frustrated. Once our mouth is full, then we push it down to our hearts, right? And so once it makes it to the hearts, God trying to speak and move all kind of places. But we can't, our minds is full, our mouth won't stop talking. We start throwing in, I'll never, I can't, hard, frustrated with all those words, and then it comes into our heart, and now it's manifested in our hearts. So we're cluttered, and everything is in the way. God can't come in because we're constantly pushing it back. He has no room to squeeze in there because we've shut the door because there's so much stuff that's filled up in it. So as I was at that point, like I said, I was full. In the mind, I was full in my mouth, I was full in my heart. I was so fresh. I was like, out of here, yada yada, doing all this stuff, and I'm gone. So I went back to work. Like I said, I had the dream, and I went back to work the next day. And I'm looking and I went back to work after my break, and I'm looking at this guy, and he's horrible at the job. He don't care, and like the guys that he's supposed to be training, they're irritated because he's so bad, and he's frustrating them and everything like that. And so I'm having to look at this every day, and I'm full. I'm not just waiting on the day when I can get out of here. But I've had the dream to say stay, and I'm out of here. And there was the guy that's worked at the job. He's a supervisor, and he was kind of over the ideas of like this new program. And so, and not only with that, which also was fascinating, is that if you know the field that I work in, it's some folks in that bad boy. Right. And so he had just given his life to God, and he started playing guitar for the church. And so he was just telling me about, we talked, and he was just telling me about how he's now playing for the church, and he doesn't really know guitar. He's like learning, but they want somebody, so he's playing, and they enjoy him. And so we talked about that and all that type of stuff. And I had never told him how frustrated I was. You know, there was no point in talking about it at work. But he was still kind of the head front of it. But he stopped me. He stopped me one day. And he was like, Aris, he said, I don't know what's going on. He says it's a lot of stuff going around. I ain't talked to nobody. Because there's a lot of rumors about some moving around, all that type of stuff. He said, would you stay? He said, stay. I was like, man, I haven't said anything. He said, stay. Because I haven't talked to nobody. He said, I don't know what it is, Aris. He said, just wait for me and just stay. And literally within a day, within a week, he came to me and he was like, I need you to come over here. He's like, this guy's pretty bad. I need you to come over here and help him out. Just help him out. And I was like, well, I got to train in the rest of the week. I can help him out on Monday, but I'm going to be gone for the rest of the week. He said, that's fine. He said, just as long as you stay and come and help him out, that's all. I just need you to stay right now and help him out. I said, okay, that's cool. And he began to, and so I helped him out on Monday, found out how bad he actually was, helped him out, got him all situated, and went to my training for the rest of the week. Came back at the end of the week. I think it was like a Thursday or Friday. Came back at the end of the week. And when I came back and I walked through the door, I was met by the managers of the department, the supervisors of the department, admins and all this type of stuff, the department I was in. And they were all standing at the door waiting on me to come to the door when I came to the door. I was like, what's going on? They were like, you're the man. So what you mean I'm the man? They was like, that guy, he left. It's yours now. I didn't have to go through no interview process. I didn't have to fill out no resume. I didn't do any of that. I said, okay, God, you want me to stay. You gave me the dream. Somebody else is giving it to me. Let me humble myself. If you gonna say yes, let me declutter my mind. Let me declutter my mouth. Let me declutter my heart. And I'm just gonna stay. And it doesn't take much. No. I don't want people to realize that it doesn't take. It's not this grand act, but it's a lot of effort into it. Mm-hmm. in that humble state. And I got to that humble state, and I said, I'm gonna stay. I said, okay, cool. God, whatever you have me to do, I'm gonna do it. This is where you have me. I'm gonna go. Everything else I was trying to do wasn't working, but I was trying to force it. I said, finally, God, I said, well, do what you want to do. And I walked right into that position. No sweat, and ain't turned back since. And so humbling gives you strength. And that's that point, like I said in the scripture, it said, in due time. And he'll exalt you in due time.
In due time.
It was obey.
That's all. That's it. All you have to do is obey.
Can't nobody reward you like he can.
Nobody. Can we take out some of these other things and replace? Like, can we take out doubt? I like what Pastor Manager said. Like, can we take out doubt, take out fear, and just replace it with obey? Mm-hmm. Like, things can go out, but bring in the things that you need.
Right.
Take out doubt, throw in humility. Throw out the fear, I'm just gonna obey. Throw out the skepticism, I'm just gonna trust. How can you blindly trust? It's some work. Yeah. It's a process, but I'm gonna trust. Mm-hmm. Because the Bible says faith without works is dead. So I'm going to have to trust that process. One last one I want to talk about. We'll read real quick and we'll get up out of here. Because we talk about decluttering all day long. But it's Proverbs 3:5-8. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all of your ways, acknowledge God.
In all of them.
All of them, right? All your ways. In your mind, in the mouth, in the heart. All your ways, acknowledge God. Make that a habit. That begins to declutter some stuff also. When you speak faith, you speak trust, like get it out of your mouth. I'm going to trust God. I love what my dad used to say about like him and my mom, regardless of, like depending on the situation. Mm-hmm. And they would be like, I'm going off your faith. Like getting that out of your mouth, just putting that into the atmosphere helps out so much.
Yes, it does.
Trisha used to get that, and Trisha, when we were broke, not poor. I keep telling everybody, you're broke. You're not poor. You're broke. Lights on at the house right now. You're broke. Water's on. You're broke. Food at the house. You're broke. Okay, you're not poor. You're broke. But when Trisha and I, we were broke, And we had the two different mentalities. Trisha would be like, "Oh, we only have $100 in the account." And I'm like, "We have $100 in the account." And she'd be like, "Well, you trust in that $100 something serious. Like, what else can I trust in? God got to bless that. You got to work through that." And just getting that out of your mouth declutters your space. Begins to strengthen that relationship. He said, "Acknowledge him and he shall direct you, and he shall direct your path. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Get out of your own way. Fear the Lord and depart from evil."
Right.
Okay. It will be health to your flesh and strength to your bones. So when you trust in God, you get stronger. When you acknowledge him in all that you do, you get stronger.
You get stronger.
I started thinking about like my skin regimen when I was a kid. Like when I was growing up and teenager, we were talking about pimples. I think I went through the worst puberty time. It was all right here, all in here, like bumps is everywhere. Somebody saw me years later after high school, and I should have been insulted. Because when they saw me, they were like, "Aris?" And I was like, "Yeah." Their next words, shit, like, I was like, "I don't know how to take this." Because they were like, "Aris?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Your skin." I was like, "Yeah, it was pretty bad." She was like, "It's so good now." I was like, "Yes, it's all right." And she was like, "Can you talk to my son? He's going through puberty and he thinks it's so bad." And I was telling him it was this guy who had the worst. I was like, "This is the worst conversation I've ever had. Like the worst encouraging conversation ever in life." Right? That's how she came to me. Right? But yeah, so I was looking, and so I thought about that when I was reading that earlier. I started thinking about that. I said, "Your flesh." I was like, maybe I should have been acknowledging God earlier, and my acne wouldn't have been so bad. I trust him in all my way, all his ways. My health. The health comes to my flesh, but yeah, it will strengthen your bones. You'll be strengthened each and every day. Like I said, tonight was like a real lesson night. Mm-hmm. It really spoke to me just on those key points of what we're designed for. Like I said, talking to all those different communities, you might be designed. You're designed to change yourself. You're designed to you have love in you, and like I said, you get dealing with same-sex marriages and all these different changing of the gender. You're designed. You have that ability to do it. We have it in society, but are you purposeful for it? Like, we're gonna be believers in God and trusting God, especially in like the LGBTQ like churches that are out there and all that type of stuff. Like, we really read the Word of God. Are you trusting? You're designed to be in these relationships. You're designed to love. You're designed to have these emotions and all that type of stuff. But are you purposed? Is that the purpose that God has for us? Same thing in our lives, in our marriages, in our finances, in our careers, as parents, as friends, loved ones, in our relationship with God. What is our purpose? I think that's the main goal thing we need to find out. What is our purpose? Are we living out our purpose, or are we living out our design? Because when we live our design, we sell ourselves short. We're only the picture. Mm-hmm. We're only the drawing. We're only the blueprint. We never build the building.
And that on that last point, when it says our trust being in what is in front of us,
right,
more often than in God,
right,
meaning that we're looking at what we're dealing with more than trusting and believing in God. At that point, cluttered.
Yep,
we don't see God.
Mm-hmm.
There's a saying that I heard and it stuck with me. And it said, if all you see is what you see, you will never see all that is there, that is to be seen. Mm-hmm. If all you see is what you see, you will never see all that there is to be seen. And with that being said, I went and I read went to 2 Kings 6 and 17. Mm-hmm. Talking about King Ben-Hadad.
Yeah,
he was enraged because he was mad that he wanted I can't think his name right now. Oh my God, what is his name? Elijah.
Yeah.
He wanted Elijah.
Yeah.
He wanted them to go and get Elijah, and when They went and found Elijah where he was. They tracked him down. And the servant got up that morning, went out and seen them horses and chariots. And he was like, my Lord, he was talking to Elijah. Hey, there's horses and chariots everywhere out here.
Right.
We could have died.
Yeah.
Pretty much what he was saying. He was terrified. Elijah prayed. And when he prayed, the servant still didn't see what Elijah seen. That's when he prayed, opened his eyes.
Right.
When he opened his eyes, what was above? All them horses and chariots above them. I mean, you don't see everything there is to be seen, not through your eyes.
Not through your eyes, yeah.
But when you allow God to show you, He's going to show you past what that's the thing that's standing you and looking you in your face right now. When you trust God and you pray, He's going to show you what's past that.
Right.
That's going to help you hold on a little while longer.
Right.
And that story, that really, really did stick with me. I'm picturing myself. Like God opened my eyes and I could just see in the chair. And then all of a sudden, it was back there even, I kid you not. When one time me and Carl, we was over in Casimir Garden and we got into a fight. And I was whooping this guy. I was leaning on him.
Dude was thug.
I was leaning on him. And then all of a sudden, I didn't know, but he had went and got his brothers and stuff. And we went to Terrell to the middle school. His brother then went to the high school, the Casimir Garden. And man, next thing I know, I got a crowd around me. And it ain't none of my people. I ran to the house. We stayed right down the street. And I didn't know the old man was at the house.
Yeah.
And I was going to get what we used to fight with, a stick. And he told me to leave a stick behind the door. And come on, let's go back up. Let's come. When we come back, no cars can come through or nothing. When we come back, it was one big dude behind me. And the crowd just opened up. It's like they seen what they didn't see before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it got there, nobody wanted to fight no more. So it's that thing. You have to trust God enough. Yeah, it's bad. It's gonna get rough, and you're so cluttered in your mind right now. You don't see no other way.
Right.
But you got to trust. You got to trust God, and you got to be willing to let some of that stuff go that He's been telling you for years to get out. Right. Like you say, clean out that deep freezer. Yep. Before me and Treat moved out here, we had the deep freezer in the garage. I promise you, we throw away everything in that deep freezer. It was like, you just come put stuff in there. Yeah. And you didn't know all that stuff was at the bottom.
Right.
But when we cleaned it out, we had a lot of room in there, Joe.
A lot of room.
You got to clear it out to make room for God.
There you go. One last quote before we get up out of here. What I heard, I think Jackie Perry, she had said, and she was like, move your thoughts in the direction of Jesus more than the area in which you're struggling. And she said, acknowledge the struggle, which I thought was so fantastic, because acknowledge the struggle. Don't deny it and think that you're not going through something. Don't look away, but actually acknowledge the struggle. Yes, but then also confess the sin. Right. Confess the sin that I've jumped into the area of fear. I've jumped into that level of doubt. I jumped into that level of worry. So acknowledge the struggle, confess the sin, and then last, remember the Savior. At the end of the day, remember who you serve. Remember what He's done. Remember that you're saved. Remember that you are delivered. Remember the blood has already covered you. From the crown of your head to the sole of your feet. Declutter your space. You're not dirty. Things get cluttered. And so with God, with a relationship with God, it moves out of the way. Right. And so there's circumstances and there's situations that's going to come. Acknowledge those struggles. Acknowledge those circumstances. Acknowledge those situations. Whatever it is, whatever that place you're in, confess the sin. But then also remember the Savior. Remember the one you can pray to, the one you can surrender to. Open up your hearts and your minds and your souls too. So, like I said, next week, please join us. We'll send out a lot more posts, a lot more text messages and posts. We have a special guest on next week. I am super excited for our special guest. I pray that he can still come. I pray that he can still maybe make it. Yeah. But we should have fun on next week. We're gonna stick three of us right here at this tiny desk, tiny junky desk. Right? It should be fun. So join us next week, 7:30 as we close out. It should be fun, full of laughs. We're going to edify God in the middle of these laughs. We're going to read His Word. And then we're going to have a good time. Right? Father God, we thank you on today. We thank you for who you are. We thank you for this time, for this moment. We ask that you would continue to have your way in this place. Bless the lives of your people who are watching, those who may be watching it later on the restream. We ask that you would continue to bless, move, and align, shift, and set the atmosphere. Give us comfort, give us peace, give us direction.
Yes.
May we be trusting in you, trusting in your word, trusting that you are our Savior. May we declutter our minds, our mouths, our hearts, and that we may recognize that we are not dirty, but we are your children. Right. We honor you and we glorify you now and always and forever. And we call it done in the matchless name of Jesus. We pray.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
Thank God.
Thank God.
Amen. Good night, folks.
Night.